We are live. It's Christmas Eve, and Dave, I don't know about you, but I woke up today and I just realized that Christmas should be on a Monday.
I
Christmas
think
Eve should be on a Sunday. It's like if it's a work day, it's like a Thursday or whatever, Christmas Eve, you typically end up working and then it doesn't feel the same. But like leading up to Christmas Eve from Saturday going to Sunday and knowing Christmas on a Monday, like it should be one of those locked holidays. I feel like this is the proper day for Christmas Eve. It took me 40 years to realize it, but like waking up today, I realized that it should be on Sunday. And then we got football. We had football last night. We have football today, and then we got football on Monday. So like everything in line, like this makes too much sense not to do this. Like, and the NFL should have enough pull to just say, you know what, we're locking Christmas on Sundays. Like, just call it a day. Like, is that how it should be?
I tell you what, you make a great point. And I read an article the other day saying NFL plays every day of the week, right? But next year they're going to have a decision to make because Christmas falls on a Wednesday because of leap year. And NFL promises they won't play on a Wednesday. Watch. They'll find a way.
What do you mean they won't play on a Wednesday? What is that even supposed to mean? Like, you play every other day. Can't play on a Wednesday. But, happy holidays. Happy holidays, everybody, man. Congrats to everybody who cashed some props yesterday. I had Everett props. I had Tyler Boyd props. I had Trent Irwin props. Didn't get Kincaid. I was kind of shocked, especially in the game script. I figured, but it's a Gabe Davis day, I guess. Once, like you said, a leap year. Like once every season, there's a Gabe Davis week. So we saw that. We played him. Congrats to you. I had a nice lineup with Higgins and Pickens to start the day, with Josh Allen to hopefully close the day. But I had no Gabe Davis, so cashed, but didn't cash in what I like to cash in. But we got a big slate today. Got an interesting slate today. Dave, let's go game by game real quick. Kind of chop it up, see where your head's at, see where my head's at. There's some injury news that popped in late. We're still waiting for some names, but Lions, Vikings here. Look, you got a 47.5 total. Detroit favored by 2.5. Kind of sneaky line. I would, expected them to be more favored in this game against, Nick Mullins and the Vikings, but Vikings defense has been good. Their offense is at full strength minus Kirk Cousins, so I guess they can maybe hang in this game, and it could be a shootout indoors. So for the most part, I'm not in love here with anybody, but Amon-Ra always in play. Jameson Williams kind of sneaky. Laporta in play. The Gibbs-Montgomery thing, I've been staying away myself because it's hard to predict. So I'm not so interested in the game, but I can see reasons to play a lot of these players, especially for season long as well. From a DFS betting perspective, Dave, anybody that you're really locking in, like, I have to have me, a Ty Chandler or Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, who would be that guy, if anything?
Nick Mullins. I'm with that price at 5,300 versus Detroit secondary that has bled yards recently. I feel really good about Nick Mullins staying DFS. So to your point, if you're going to want to pay up with salary, Justin Jefferson had some great games against Detroit last season. So you could obviously see that coming. Jordan Addison's been a really good fantasy receiver, and he's shown that even with Jefferson back, he can play. So I like the passing game in Minnesota. That's my big one. And you spoke it earlier. Just posted an article on Wendell and my bets for today, and this is one of them. I think Minnesota is one of the best plays on the slate today. And I'm taking them +3, might even buy up to 3.5 if I can find some
upset though. They win this game outright. Is there a money line play or just take the points, make it easy?
I'll just take the points here. My problem with Minnesota is they lose close games this year. So, last year and I would say money line this year, it's everything for Minnesota today. They're out of it if they don't win. Detroit's been 2-2 on the road in their last 4. 2 of those were really ugly, Chicago and Baltimore. So, we'll see. But, yeah, those are the sides I like DFS. Now, when you're looking at Detroit, I think Laporta has another big game. Minnesota blitzes a ton, creates a lot of pressure. Ball's got to get out quick. I think he's going to look and lean on Laporta.
Okay, we're going to get to a lot of questions throughout the show. Make sure you go to windailysports.com/radio if you haven't locked in for free. Giving out free weeks for the holidays, so go to windailysports.com/radio. Seattle, Tennessee, real quick. I think it's a sneaky spot for Geno Smith. DK Metcalf coming in under 10% owned, 6.7. He's in play over on DraftKings. You got Lockett and the Jigba both in play, both under 10% owned, both fairly priced. If it's not DK, it's probably one of those guys. I don't see many people playing or talking about Kenneth Walker. Tennessee used to be a good run D, but they're banged up as well on both sides. So, look, you can roll out Kenneth Walker. I think anybody from the Seattle side is sneaky, under 10% owned against a Tennessee defense that can get picked on at times. So I know they run the ball a little too much, slow pace on the backside. It wouldn't be a game stack for me, but if you want to cherry pick pretty much anybody on Seattle, I'm down with it. Not really going to be playing any Tennessee side. You know, the run game is split between Henry and Spears, so I'm off that. D-Hop, I know Tannehill's back, so you can maybe take a shot on D-Hop, but I do respect Seattle's defense just a little bit. So I'm fading Tennessee, and I'm totally cool playing any Seattle players for GPPs. They won't be in cash game on us, but GPPs, they're definitely in play here. Your thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, I think DK's the one. I mean, after seeing them up close and personal last week, he's the guy they went to on the last drive, right? He's the guy that they care about. Now, Geno's back, which is great, but I think DK could have a huge day today. So DK, love him in GPPs, like you said. I think he's safe in cash as well. Decent price, probably going to, I think, exceed his expectations. On the Tennessee side, I do like the running game. I'm like you. I took Henry in the draft cast, but you could say at 4,700, Tajay Spears could be like, a real big dark horse today. Just something to consider, but not a huge game from GPPs. Listen, to answer this one, Jay, I think if you're going to go 2 out of 3, I'm leaning Terry and I'm leaning Godwin. Now, Godwin's got to play. He's got a little questionable status. I think he will. Tampa's in the lead in that division now that New Orleans lost. I think all hands will be on deck. So I lean Terry and Godwin. How about you?
I respect the Jets D a little bit. It's the Monty, situation with Gibbs, and I'm worried about. Yeah, lock Godwin is as long as you get the full go here. He's emerged the past couple of weeks. It looks like Trevor Lawrence is going to play too, so this could be somewhat of an up pace for the Buccaneers. This game could shoot over the 43.5. So I think, in a PPR, you're going to lock Godwin, and it's a tougher choice here between Terry and Monty. For me, you want to go Terry, you really do, but if you want a safer floor, probably go Monty and hope he falls into the end zone here in a little bit, higher pace game. So I probably lean Monty, but if you're looking for a higher upside, go Terry and hope maybe, the backup comes in and gets him 100 yards in like 5 minutes like it did last week. So see what happens there. But let's continue breaking down the games. We will be talking cash games, GPPs. Obviously, Michael Pittman is gone. So pretty much every single caller last night for Sirius. What do I do with Michael Pittman out? And it was tough sledding. And I got a tough matchup in the Win Daily League, coming in with the 1 seed in the bye, and then losing Keenan Allen, and then losing Keaton Mitchell. I'm playing Gus Edwards. And as of right now, I might make the swap. But I'm going 2 tight ends, and it's ugly for me. So we'll talk about that. But for the Colts side of things, this kid, DJ Montgomery, he dropped that touchdown, and he came right back, and he scored a touchdown. He looked pretty good. Maybe he emerges as the number 2 ahead of Alec Pierce. But they're all very much in play. Downs 5.5, Pierce at 4,000, Montgomery at 3.3. I like them all. I'm not in love with 25% owned Jonathan Taylor. It could burn me, but I'm just not in love with it. I'm not in love with Bijan at 20% owned either. He can get there. Roll it. I just don't have all this faith in Arthur Smith. And if I lose, on Christmas Eve and Bijan has a monster game, I won't be upset at myself. Same thing with Jonathan Taylor. I know there's no Moss. Sermon's still there, and, they'll probably roll some other people. I don't know if they give him the ball like 100% of the time, as people do expect. But look, it's Jonathan Taylor, 7.2, with nobody really that great behind him. So I get it. I'm probably fading it myself, though, for GPPs. What's your thoughts on the run game on both sides? Because they're coming in like 25% on. I get it, but do we need to force it?
We don't need to force it because, these teams actually stack up okay against the run. They're not the best, but they're not absolutely the worst. And the volume is just not there for me with Bijan. As much as I want to play him every week, he looks like that, beautiful shiny toy in the back that you want to open up, for Christmas terms. I just can't touch it, man. I hate Arthur Smith as much as you do. I do think Atlanta wins today, but I think it'll be a more concerted passing game. That's why they're putting Heineke back in. So I like Drake London a little bit. He's cheap. He's in the 5K range. He had one of those big weeks the other week for us. So I do like Drake, but as far as running, I would lean Taylor. And I'm not I'm off Bijan. Maybe I'll touch him in 5% of my lineups just to have a little share, but it won't be a lot.
Yeah, kind of with you on that. Packers, Panthers, we got the news that A.J. Dillon's going to play, so temper your expectations on Aaron Jones. Maybe they move the ball a little bit better, though, with both backs in there. I'm stuck playing Romeo Doubs in my season long. I told you I lost not only Keenan Allen, but I also lost Christian Watson here, so it's Doubs for me. I hope he catches a touchdown. That's what I need. Jaden Reed, he's still in play at 5.4. But everybody's going to Dontavian Wicks. It's funny how what a week can do. Yeah. He's only $1,100 cheaper, but he's going to be 20 to 25% owned versus everybody out on Reed when Reed's played well, these past couple of weeks. So interesting to see that ownership all go to the discount on Wicks. How are you playing the Green Bay side with these receivers? No Christian Watson, pretty good matchup against Carolina, but the over-under is only 30.5. Are you completely fading Reed and Dobbs? Are you going to Wicks and thoughts on Tucker Kraft as well?
Yeah, all good questions. Green Bay brings in the 5th ranked passing offense in this league from DVOA perspective. So Crazy. They do move the ball through there, but Carolina's actually pretty decent against the pass, surprisingly. They're in the 12th, 13th range. So I think it's not going to be one of those Tampa Bay games that we saw last week or Kansas City. I think Green Bay is going to have to do it in different ways. 31st against the run is Carolina. So if anything, I do think they have to be a little more concerted with the running effort. So I don't like much in the Green Bay passing game this week just because I think it's a slower paced game. I think it's similar to what we saw with Atlanta last week in Carolina. That's how they're going to want to play. If I take anyone and I want to take more of them, it would be Reed, but he's still not cleared. So from there, I would lean Wicks with that discount.
Do we have a confirmed in and out on Reed yet? Is he? I'm going to double check while.
Check that, and then I'll also answer one of these questions in the chat. So, Tim, you're talking Flowers or Edwards versus the 49ers, and I think it's tough sledding versus that defense no matter what. But the way that Flowers has kind of fell off, and they've been using different guys in the passing game, OBJ obviously, and using the tight end likely. I would lean Edwards because he's got the better chance of touchdown equity. I know it's full point PPR, I get it, but Flowers hasn't got more than 4 catches in a game in a long time. So that's my lean, but either way, it's tough sledding against that team. Also,
yeah, still questionable on Reed. Everybody's expecting him most likely to be out. Look, if he's out, that's why the ownership will stick to Wicks here.
Yep.
25%. I kind of get it. At 4.3, you need some salary relief if you want to pay up for a couple studs on the slate. We'll talk about those studs in a second, but 4.3, if Reed's out, he's going to be in your cash games, and Wicks is still in play for GPP. Just temper some expectations, like Dave said. Still got 38.5 total here. You got a Green Bay team that can also run the ball effectively with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And if you saw the draft cast, I was kind of shocked. I took Chuba Hubbard early in that draft. He's got one of the highest rush props on the slate. Mm-hmm. So I think he's good, good for cash, good for GPPs. As long as Carolina can move the ball a bit, I think Hubbard is firmly in play on both sides here. 5.7. Green Bay is a run D that you want to attack. He's getting 18 to 20 touches a game. You're getting all the volume. I know they put up money to get, Sanders in town, but it's been Chuba Hubbard, and he's only around 10% owned. I don't think he'll burn you, and I don't know if he's going to win you a GPP, but I wouldn't be shocked if he puts up another 20 points here at 5.7. So Hubbard definitely in play. Anytime you see a running back getting 20 touches 3 weeks in a row, there's a safe floor there. So if he finds a way in the end zone, Hubbard could be a nice piece in both cash and GPPs. Flacco and the Browns go to Houston. I was kind of shocked to see the number at 2.5. Now it's creeped up to 3 on Cleveland. I know Sia, already bet this up, and he likes this bet. But from a DFS perspective, Sia and I talked about it. Maybe a naked Flacco, which sounds crazy in Week 16. Here we are playing Joe Flacco. But Flacco and Njoku at 5.3, 5.5, not a bad play. I don't really trust anybody else on this side. And from the Texans side, it looks like Nico Collins will be back. So we can't go really back to Noah Brown, and I respect the Browns defense. So for me, it's Flacco and Njoku or nothing here in this entire game. Dave, are you betting the Browns, and do you like anything else on the Cleveland side?
Man, that's a good question. As probably you all know, and if you don't, Flacco grew up about 10 miles from me. So got a little,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He's right.
I've always been a Flacco supporter, similar to you. I've been supporting you and Flacco since I know both of you.
There you go. There and listen, I got to see him play hoops in high school. He could play. He's athletic. Yeah. He's a player. Yeah. So I love the resurgence. I love the story. This one just, I don't know if I'm betting Cleveland. I think this is a stay off spot for me, especially at 3. I know Keenum was not very good. I don't know Cleveland's defense is, but last time they went on the road and played a team, the Rams really took it at Cleveland. So I just worry about Flacco outside of Cleveland right now. So I'm going to stay away, but I am 100% with you. If I'm playing DFS, it's Flacco. I could see myself playing a little Cooper, but if I don't play Cooper, it's Njoku for sure. And then I'm off the run game. Houston has really come around and started to play tough run defense. Jerome Ford hasn't got more than like 8 or 10 carries in the past few weeks. I know he's dealing with a wrist injury, but there's just not enough reliability in that running game. So, and on the Houston side, Dalton Schultz is the one I would probably lean towards in this matchup. Like you said, Nico's going to have a tough sledding, come back off injury. Cleveland's got a good pass defense, but I think Schultz could be a decent play at tight end.
Yeah, so I burned myself and whoever followed last week on the Wilson ladder. I'm going to try one more time. And Wilson actually paid me off earlier this season, so he covered all the losses from last week. But there was another guy in the Jets, or there's 2 guys in the Jets. 3 guys in the Jets I've been riding all year long because I think their talent is there. The team just sucks. So I've been betting Garrett Wilson props on receptions. I've been betting Tyler Conklin, on receiving yards. And about like 2 months ago, I actually hit a pretty large prop on Breece Hall.
Yeah.
And if there was ever to be a week where Breece Hall kind of gets there, I think it's against the Commanders, who's kind of mailed it in. I hope Trevor Siemian brings some stability to this offense. I have no faith in it. It's Trevor Siemian still, but it's like one of the worst defenses against one of the worst offenses ever. But Breece Hall is actually good at football, and it doesn't take too much talent to hand the ball off. Like, it's not like you have to expect much. And the guy behind him is Dalvin Cook, which I don't know what they're trying to do with that. It's obviously not worked. This whole season hasn't worked. So long-winded, Breece Hall's rush prop is 46.5 on DraftKings and MGM and Caesars. I kind of laughed at it yesterday. I posted a tweet, what number is low enough for you to bet an Austin Eckler rush prop? And it was like 35. It's like, guy's a stud running back, and he's got a rushing prop at 35. It's like so embarrassing. Like, if I was Austin Eckler, I'd be embarrassed that the sportsbooks don't believe me. I didn't bet it, though, because he's been so bad. And he goes out there and he smashes the over like in the first half. And I kind of laughed at it. Same kind of story of Breece Hall. Like, you look at the game logs. Like, how does a running back get 12 yards in a game? 40, 16, 25, 23, 28. You got to go back to like early November when he broke 50 yards in a game. It's just been everything that could be wrong. It's not Breece Hall. Like, it's like a terrible offensive line. It's a terrible team, bad game script, but they favored in this game. And it's the Commanders. So I went ahead, and I'm not in love with it for DFS, but I'm playing it in DFS in certain spots. He's 27% owned. He's 6.1. But I'm betting ladders all the way up to 100 on the rush side. And I'm betting ladders all the way up to the rushing plus receiving at 125 on Breece Hall. So if you got some courage, you're in a legal state. I know I'm long-winded here, but I'm trying to, make everybody some money. I got a bunch of money on Breece Hall breaking out today against the Commanders. I hope it hits in the prop market. If it hits in the prop market, on these ladders, 100, 125 yards rushing and receiving, that means he's obviously a good play for DFS as well. So he's 25% on right now. I like Garrett Wilson at 5.8, and I like Tyler Conklin at 3.2 too. So those are 3 guys that I'll be playing. On the backside of things, Dave, are you down with that bet? I know it's a little bit long-winded, and do you want to try any of these Commanders, which, I really don't, because I do respect the Jets defense, even though they look bad on paper because the Jets offense is like put them in positions where like they're starting drives like on the 20-yard line, with 20 yards to score, not on the wrong side of the ball.
Yeah, the Sam Howell train has slowed down quite a bit, almost to a stop. As you mentioned last week, Jacoby Brissett had to come in. He's the only one that put the foot on the gas pedal, almost saved the day for the Commanders. My one loss in last week's betting column was the Commanders. If they could have just kicked an extra point, we would have at least ran out with a push. But anyway, with that said, I still think there's some value on the Commander side. I will look towards their receiving weapons. They're all priced so right. Last week, Waddle went nuts on them. So it's only going to be one of them who hits it. I lean Terry, but, I think, my other favorite this year has been Curtis Samuel. So those two, I look at the Commanders game. And it's interesting. You talked about 3 bets that you've been riding on the Jet side. One other one that I was riding a little bit and did surprisingly play well was Zach Wilson's passing props. Now, I know he's not playing today, but when things are right in New York, I mean, they sneakily get up to 220, 240 easily. So I think Simeon's over today is also a prop I really like, his passing yards over. And I do like what you're saying with Breece Hall. I do. Did you say over 125 rushing?
No, so his normal prop, like the normal props is 46.5 on the rushing side. And then the rushing and receivings, I think I got it at 78.5.
Okay.
So those are the ones that I'm betting like with a lot of units. And then I'm running the ladder up on the rushing side all the way up to 100. I'm obviously scaling down the units as I go up. And on the rushing and receiving, 125 is paying out plus 500. So as high as plus 500 on the rushing receiving at 125. And then on the rushing side of things, I think if things go right, Breece Hall could be a 100-yard rusher. It's not like something like crazy to see if they just break in and give him the right touches here. So that's plus 1,000 on DraftKings to get over 100. So I think they're both doable. It hasn't been done in quite some time. I do think the rushing and receiving gives you more outs because he's been catching balls. So I would lean more favorable on the rushing and receiving if you're trying to climb the ladder at plus 500 at 125.
Yeah, so I guess this is my thing about Breece Hall. I think we all know this. He's a home run hitter. So those bets are always in play, even in the third quarter if he has 30 or 40. He's broken 80 yards. He did one, I know, for 50 against the Giants in their one-play drive. He's a home run hitter. So I do like the play. Kyron Williams went right through the Commanders last week.
Commanders, they're really bad. They mailed it in. I was talking to CL last night too about it. Like,
they're done.
The Ron Rivera show is probably soon to be ending. So let's go to Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. Trevor Lawrence is most likely playing, but he's not confirmed playing here. I was looking at Ridley props, but I was so upset about last week, so I'm sure he's going over this week. Parker Washington in play at 3.8. The kids look pretty good. Evan Ingram, probably one of your safer tight ends, but his price is 5.4. You want to attack Tampa Bay's defense, their secondary. So it's through the air for me. I don't mind ATN as well at 6.6, projected for 16. So they're all in play. I don't know how healthy Trevor is, so I'm a little bit worried here. But 20% on Calvin Ridley is a thing you got to be wary of. It's a very bad Tampa D, through the air. So Ridley in play, Ingram in play, Parker Washington, if you need some salary relief at 3.8 in play as well. I think the sneakiest one, if he gets there, is ATN. His play as well for GPPs. I know Stix wrote up, the value on Ridley, so he likes Ridley. The guys that we've been mentioning is in Stix's article: Metcalf, Ridley, Wilson, London, Wicks as well. So Ridley's a guy that he got a ton of touches last week, man. Like he got like 12, 13 targets. He just did nothing with it, and they called back that touchdown, which should have worked. But I don't mind the combination of Lawrence and Ridley, Ed. I probably don't get there. I probably just play Ridley by himself because I do think Lawrence has struggled and maybe some rushing upside is not there for him today, which you may need. But I don't mind it either, But we have to make sure he's confirmed playing as well once we get that confirmation. If you guys got it, let us know. But he's still in the protocol to my understanding, but we'll see what happens in the next couple hours here. Dave, your thoughts on this? And Evans, Godwin, Rashad White, your thoughts on all those fellas?
Yeah, let me just answer this one real fast. We've had a couple comments. I still lean Pacheco. I still think he's the guy I got to check on the health situation. But, Kenneth Walker has the same questionable stats. He ran hard last week. I really like the way he plays, but in the end, I lean Pacheco in that group. And then there was another one here, Cooper or Pollard. Just at this point, Pollard's almost dead to me.
Really? So, I'd probably go Pollard, though. I'd probably go Pollard. The consistency there. He's getting the touches like Cooper. I lean Pollard. It's tough, though.
With the guy that can throw the ball downfield now, that's why I like Cooper a little more. Had a big game last week. So I think it is a real coin flip. You drafted Pollard way higher, obviously. So this is that time of year that you don't want to sit here and get burnt by, some rolling the dice managerial decisions. You can do that week 10, 11, 12. So I don't blame you for going Pollard. But to ask, so Jacksonville, simply put, and I agree with Ed, the turd of Ridley, 4 games over 20 points this year, 20 fantasy points, 8 games under 10. It's all or nothing with this guy. And, we'll know in the first quarter which one it is, right? And I'm leaning towards, I think I'm going to play Ridley. I'm similar to Stix in this one. I think it's Tampa just plays such what we call the funnel type defense. It's not man-to-man. They love the zone, just pushing in, the Todd Bowles cover too. And there's just going to be a lot of room for Lawrence to find Ridley, and especially with Zay Jones likely out. I just think it's a big day. So I do like the combo there. And with you, I might rather play him naked in GPPs. T-Law put up 1 game over 30 this year, and it's because he got 2 rushing touchdowns versus Tennessee in that game. So it's like you need him to – he's not a high – he's in the 20s, which is great, but that's not GPP. I like him in cash. But GPP, I think it's a Jacksonville one-off, Ingram, Ridley. Even though I like your Parker Washington play. Now for Tampa – Jacksonville stinks on defense. It's Rachaad White all day. And then I think we can sprinkle in Mike Evans as well, and then look to see what Godwin's status is. But I think this is one of the higher scoring games on the slate. So it'll be a game you definitely want to game stack, and you want to look at some run back. So you want to play both sides on this. It's a very even game. Minus 1 point spread.
Yeah, I agree to all those statements. Hawkinson, Laporta here. It's tight. I got our model up here. Stix is on vacay.
There it is.
Yeah, so it looks like Stix and the numbers say Hawkinson over Laporta. It's super tight for me. It's probably, who gets in the end zone, whose team moves the ball a little bit better here. So I'm going to trust the numbers. I'm going to trust Stix here and go Hawkinson over Laporta. It is tight, though. It was shown as a 2-point or a 1.5 spread here between the two of them. So super tight. On quarterbacks, Tua, Lamar, that's a really good question as well, man, because Lamar's got the rushing upside, and then Tua has a matchup versus the Cowboys that could be electric here. The model has Lamar over Tua, and that's where I would lean. The rushing floor that Lamar brings is just, something that you want to have in your back pocket if you're chasing points or you want some upside. And, Tua, we know Tyreek is most likely playing, but, at what level is he going to be playing at? That's the worry, that's concern here for that game. So I would go with Lamar and hope for the best. With Reed and active, roll out the Wicks. Wicks is going to be super popular and for good reason here. I'm kind of happy Reed's out because I need a big game from Romeo Dobbs in season long. Like I went against Puka and Cooper Kupp, and I switched over from Broncos to Bills defense last night, which I didn't really want to do, but it was a last-minute type of thing. He asked a couple people, and everybody's leaning that side, so I went that side, and the Bills did not show up on defense, which kind of sucked. A couple more games on the slate, and then we'll do some positional breakdowns. Arizona, Chicago. I know Stix likes Michael Wilson as one of the top values of the slate at 3.7. Outside of him, it's the Trey McBride show, man. Like, everybody can keep fading him all you want. And he keeps going out there and having 10 catches, 100-yard games week after week after week. 5.7, next year, you might be talking about this dude like Travis Kelce. Like, he's actually not just catching balls in garbage time. He's breaking tackles. He's running hard. He's making tough catches. The dude's a stud. So, fade him at your own risk. And if you want a safe play at tight end at 5.7, he's probably the guy. I do respect the Bears defense, so I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game here for McBride. So I see reason to pivot off him in spots. If you want to go to the cheap tight end, I'm all for it. But if you got the salary, McBride is a legit stud. I'm not rolling Kyler Murray. Like I said, Stix likes Michael Wilson, so I'll run some of that. And then we got news earlier today that Rashad Johnson is going to get, a bigger role here now. So he's something to think about at 4.8. He opens up, a good amount of salary here. I don't mind Fields to DJ Moore. I'm not going to really roll Cole Kmet, but he can score 2 touchdowns, on 3 catches or 4 catches. I think Fields to DJ Moore, if you're stacking the game up and you want to roll somebody with Justin Fields, and if you're fading this game, overall, I think still a one-off Roschon Johnson at 4.8 or a one-off DJ Moore at 6.9 can get you there. Are you sliding Roschon in a bunch of your lineups, Dave? Are you staying away from this spot? And what are you doing from the Arizona side?
I said earlier how much I like Nick Mullins. Justin Fields is my number 1 this weekend. I think for that reason, I'll probably stay a little away from Roschon Johnson. Hope the running game is really controlled by the quarterback here. And I love DJ Moore too. I think the combination there, DJ Moore, I think has 49 targets in the past 5 games. So we're looking at, 10 plus targets a game consistently. That's over a month and a half stretch. So I love the DJ Moore, Justin Fields. Arizona's terrible in defense. We saw Christian McCaffrey, carry teams last week with over 40 fantasy points against that defense. And, I'm sure Debo could add 40 if they wanted to go his way too. So it's bad. You got to attack it. So Fields, Moore, probably going to be heavy on those 2. Looking on the other side, McBride, I do think is a great call by you. I'm off any other Arizona receiver. I'm sorry. I've done enough of this. Michael Wilson and other guys, they just don't put up enough. And I get it. Like it's value and it could hit. I think it's a good play. I just think I'd rather sit on the Trey McBride bandwagon as my 1 play out of Arizona. I don't know how much more I can trust. Bears defense has actually played pretty well of late.
Really good. Yeah. They've been really good. And the weather, maybe there's some extra wind there today. So I think a good correlation play if you're not playing Justin Fields is Roschon Johnson with the Bears defense. Get to Kyler Murray, run the ball, Roschon. I can see it getting there. Last game in the slate, then we're breaking down some positional plays and showing off the model. I'll talk some player props as well. Make sure you hop over to our Discord after the show. We'll be answering questions all the way to lock at 1 o'clock. Cowboys, Dolphins, the NFL finally got a game right. They got this game going late in the season. This should be fireworks. Miami's favored by 1.5. Looks like Tyreek will go. I'm hearing some chatter that it might be an Achane week over Mozart, but we're not really sure what Mike McDaniel is going to do. Dude's been balling coaching this team, though. It's been impressive to see he do what he did. Dak in play, man. He's got the highest passing prop on the board, but you can't really pay up for Dak and pair him up with CeeDee Lamb and then running back with Tyreek Hill. So it's a tough way to stack this game. Like if everybody had the opportunity to play CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill, they would, but pricing won't allow that. So I don't mind playing Dak naked. When you have a passing prop total higher than everybody on the board, you can play that guy naked. Pairing up with CeeDee Lamb would be the first choice. Cooks would be the second choice, and Jake Ferguson the third choice for me. I'm not really messing with Tony Pollard. He could get there. I won't be upset if he gets there. And on the backside of things, it's really tough, man, because we don't really know the split between Mozart and Achane. They're both firmly in play. They're going to be under-owned. Achane around 7%. Mozart probably 3 or 4%, depending on the league you're in on DraftKings. And Tyreek Hill is going to come in around 10 to 15% owned because nobody wants to pay up for a hobbled Tyreek Hill. And he can go out there and probably catch like 12 balls for 250 in this game and get back on pace for 2,000. So Hill's in play, Waddle's in play. If I had to pick one running back, I'd probably take a chance on Achane. There's been some chatter that's going to be a bigger week from him from a production standpoint out of McDaniels that I saw. So, do what you want with that. Dave, who wins this game and how do you prioritize any of these players?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just played around with a lineup with Dak, Achane, and Lamb. And the only way we're going to get there is if we start getting our value guys like DJ
it's expensive
Montgomery,
as hell, man.
Parker Washington.
Expensive as hell.
Yeah, even like again, you could get Michael Wilson in there, 37. You're going to have to play down in that under 4 range for 3 or 4 players to be able to get there. But you can get there. And I think it's worth playing, tweaking those lineups and getting 2 or 3 players in this game because I do think it turns into fireworks. I think we saw the aftermath of a Cowboys victory over the Eagles last week really come out, and I think they're going to play their better game now, or one of their better games, I should say, against Miami. And then on the other side, Miami, they have a lot to prove, right? It's looking like, they haven't beat anybody with a winning record. It's similar to what the Cowboys have to listen to. So in the end, I do think Dallas ends up winning this game. I just have a feeling that they will have enough and they can contain Tua. I always get concerned about Tua in close games. I don't know what it is. So I lean Dallas, but I think we get a lot of points out of every spot that you just spoke of. So if I lean anywhere, I do lean A-Chain. I mean, we watched what James Cook did. Cook's maybe a slightly bigger frame, but he has the shiftiness like A-Chain. I think they're going to want to try and replicate what Buffalo did.
Yeah, so answer the question, Pollard or Chuba, PPR. It's kind of tight. It shouldn't be that tight, but it is really tight. Where do you lean on this?
Chuba.
Yeah, I think, I have to agree the volume's there for Chuba, but this could be a big Pollard week, so it would hurt. This total is, was at 49.5. I think it creeped down to 48.5, so it can work either way. And then another good question out of Austin here, man. Jake Ferguson, Isaiah Likely, full point PPR. It is super close. Like it's these are two really tough questions, really good questions, and I'd be, almost ready to flip a coin on either one and be happy with it, to be honest with you. I'll lean Jake Ferguson for some touchdown potential over Likely, but Likely might be the number one targeted receiver, in Baltimore when they take on San Fran. Like if there was a matchup where I think they might try to force it, it'd be Likely. So I think that the volume for Ferguson will be there, as probably the number 2 targeted wide receiver, a receiver in that game for Dallas too. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, it's him and Cooks fighting for those secondary touches. So I'll go Ferguson over Likely, unless you got a strong feel of Likely, man.
No, I like it. I mean, San Francisco linebackers are really good, right? With Fred Warner and such. So yeah, I lean Ferguson. It is a coin flip. I give that to you. But if I'm, you got to put one in and coin's got to land on one side. I landed on the Jake Ferguson side. Jimmy, yeah, thanks. I'm sure we look really good there today on the 70-inch. But we missed one earlier here. 2 QP, 1 point PPR. And you talked about it earlier. I'm starting to come around a little bit with this Rashawn Johnson. I'm going to lean that way. I think New England, Denver is a sneaky game tonight. For some reason, I feel like New England might hang in that game. And Javante's just, he's 13 points and nothing more or less, it feels like. The bigger upside, I think, is Rashawn.
Yeah. Speaking about positions, we'll go through some positions real quick here. Justin Fields at the top. I was kind of surprised when I saw Stix have him above Dak Prescott, but he does. I don't mind it. The rushing upside is there. I know you said he's your favorite quarterback. Yes. The discount that you get from Dak to Justin makes sense. So I get it. I think the upside is there for both these guys. Good matchup for both these guys. So I'm with it. Those are the 2 guys I want to try to jam in if I have the salary to do so. If I don't have the salary to do so, I'm going to short by value and see what Stix got cut up here. Kyler Murray, I'm off, man. I'm not running that train. I know you mentioned Nick Mullins, that you like him at 5,300. So he's got all the weapons, man. Like he really has he's got Chandler behind him, who's been better than Madison when given the opportunity last week. And then you got Jefferson and Hockenson and Addison. They have enough pieces in an up-paced game. I think that's the value spot you want to land to. I'm not going to go to Heineke. Tannehill's out, so Levis is in, so that swap has to be made by Stix. But other than that, Lawrence kind of sneaky at 6.6 if you want to go there. I mentioned Flacco earlier, 5.5. I think if I go into this 5K range, I would like Geno Smith because nobody's going to be playing him, and I think he has 3 weapons that he can throw the ball to. And I think Tennessee is going to try to fight in this game with Tannehill too. So at 5,800, I think he's the way to go if you're not going to Nick Mullins here. If you want to go like dumpster diving, I think Semien is worth maybe a dart in a big GPP, at 4,700. It makes some sense. Dave, anything you want to mention at quarterback?
No, I think you hit it all. Definitely, like I said earlier, and I'm glad I think the Mullins matchup is really good. And then if there is one that you could probably be against the grain, and we haven't talked about much, did we talk about Baker? Because Jacksonville's D is not very good, and I'm seeing Baker starting a lot of season longs where I'm playing in some semifinal matchups. So I think Baker's another good play today. And at 6K, you get him cheaper than Lawrence.
Yeah, Baker is another guy here that you can roll him out. And I think, maybe an honorable mention to let's do it, Jared Goff, just for Tony. It wouldn't be a show without, throwing Jared Goff out there too. I think for GPPs, it's not a guy that you want to roster every single week, but Goff sitting here at 6,900 against Minnesota in a high-paced game. He might be able to get there. And your Baker Mayfield call obviously works as well. Running backs, Rachaad White at the top. Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson getting a ton of looks here. We talked about that earlier. I'm going to try to fade that to the best of my ability. I like the zone of Chuba Hubbard and Breece Hall here. ATN is in play at 6,600 as well. We got to push down Aaron Jones just a tad with Dylan back.
But do you?
Those.
I don't really think
a little bit, not a lot. I'm not saying like bump them down a lot, but a little bit.
I like what I saw out of Aaron Jones last week. I think they find, obviously it turned into a passing game, but in the first half he got like 10 carries. So if they could at least commit to the run a little bit here today versus a bad Carolina defense, I do like Jones.
Yeah, and Roschon Johnson, he'll probably by game time creep up to one of the higher owned running backs and one of the highest value running backs. We'll probably make some modifications here on Roschon, bump him a little bit more. So if you want to go like super salary relief at running back, I think Chuba Hubbard and Roschon is a good combination to go for cash. GPPs, they still have the upside here. Good matchups on both sides. So I like both of those. If you don't want to go there, you want to pay up a little bit. I like Breece Hall. Rachaad White, if you can get to 7,400, dude's just the best running back on the slate. It's crazy to say, but we're here now. 7,400, Rachaad White in play. I'm going to try my best to hold as many fades on Robinson and Taylor as possible, but I will have some exposure to them. The Gibbs-Montgomery show, I lean Gibbs. And then, for GPPs, get a share of Mozart. And then in that same lineup, probably run the same lineup with HN at 7,100. Both those guys are in play as well. Dave, any other running backs you want to talk about quick?
Yeah, I'm always a Derrick Henry guy, and I do think this is one of those days after being embarrassed last week. I mean, it was awful last week versus Houston. That I think he comes back strong today. He's good in cash. I think he's good in GPPs as well. Jay, you mentioned most everyone else, but I will also say Ty Chandler is somebody I do like today. Alexander Madison is back. It does not bump him down for me. Madison's under 100%. I think if they do anything, they just use him in some, give Ty a breath. I think Ty gets 70% of the snaps, 70% of the touches, and he got 4 targets last week, brought in 3 catches. I know Detroit's run defense is good, but at 5,600, I still think Ty Chandler, don't be afraid of that number 1 next to Detroit. I think he can get some points today.
Yeah, everybody.
Jimmy's talking Kenneth Walker. I mean, I do think
you can play for GPPs. I think you can play one Seattle player in any GPP, and they're 100% viable. Metcalf to Najigba to Geno to Kenneth Walker, maybe even Tyler Lockett as well. They're all playable on this slate. Every wide receiver you see right now, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Metcalf, Wilson, Waddle, and Ridley, like all these guys are very viable, very playable in your GPPs, your single entries. I would say cash game, Garrett Wilson at a 2.56 value at only 5,800. A nice building block for you right there. If you sort by value, Wicks is going to pop. Malik Health is going to pop. Wicks is your cash game play with Garrett Wilson. One name that we didn't mention earlier, which I might even pick up right now in my season-long. Dave, you can make the choice here, man. You won last year. I need some help. Do I pick up DJ Montgomery? Because right now, I'm embarrassed to say, but I'm starting Tyler Conklin and a double tight end with Darren Waller. Do you like DJ Montgomery over either of those two guys?
Yes. I can't trust. When's Conklin got you more than like 10 or 11? At least with Montgomery, I think there's some extreme upside. You remember, I took him in our DraftCast Wednesday night. I really like the time he's getting on the field. Now without Pittman. I mean, he excelled at the end of that game without Pittman, right?
Yeah. So I think Conklin gets a touchdown, but Montgomery has more upside, and I'm chasing upside. So I might make the move after the show.
Does Conklin have a touchdown this year?
He does. I think he does. I might be lying, though. I think he does. The Jets have like 4 of them offensively, probably for the entire year.
Yeah, he has 0. He has 0. So you're banking on a guy with 0 touchdowns. You're trying to talk me into
get a touchdown. Yeah, so it's going to happen now. As soon as I slide him out of my lineup, it's definitely.
No, I agree with that. I do agree.
Yeah.
Now, to answer Jimmy's question, I will say I kind of lean Parker Washington, though.
So that's the other guy. I have Parker Washington on my bench right now. So it can either be Washington, Montgomery, or Conklin and Waller. And let me just ask you have Waller over Conklin against your Philly D, or do you like Conklin over Waller against the Commanders?
That's really tough, but we stink at linebacker. So I think Waller scares me anytime he suits up because he could be out.
Yeah, they all suck. All these guys suck. And they're probably losing anyways. But we can talk about it for a second.
I like the upside of Waller better. I do.
Okay, so you would go Waller, Washington, or Waller, Montgomery?
Waller, Washington. I think that Tampa pass D is just, and the better quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, obviously, over Gardner Minshew. I would just go a little bit towards Washington in this one.
Okay. Yeah, so I got to make that tough decision when we get off this show and also build some lineups.
It sucks.
Yeah. I had the number 1 seed too, man. I was cruising all year long, and then these injuries just kept mounting. Yeah, look, everybody's going to play Dontavian Wicks. I know Stix called out a Malik Health touchdown in Discord.
I like that.
So, if Heath catches a touchdown and Wicks has a down game, you jump the board a bunch, so maybe get his shares there. I know he likes Michael Wilson. I actually bet his prop alongside with him as soon as Hollywood Brown's been ruled out there. So I think what you want to do, or typically what I do, man, I come into the projections, I sort by projection, and then pretty much all these guys are in my player pool. And then I sort by value, and then all these top guys jump into my player pool as well. And that's where you can mix and match and make more than one lineup to kind of get it working. So make sure you take advantage of the tools at windailysports.com. If you want a free membership, go to windailysports.com/radio. Everybody here from DK Metcalf to DJ Moore at the higher price tag, Garrett Wilson at 5,800 and that mid range. You mentioned your liking of Drake London at 5,100. He's in that mid range, and then these 3K guys like Jameson Williams. You're hoping for a bomb to him for 40 yards and a touchdown, and then he catches a couple other passes. For Michael Wilson, you're hoping he turns into the number 1 target, outside of Trey McBride, and he gets 5 catches for 50 yards, maybe finds his way in the end zone. Dontavian Wicks, you want a bigger game because everybody's going to be playing him in cash. And Malik Heath, you're coming off Wicks, you're going to Heath, and you're trying to get some action out of him here. So, this is a player pool. And Najigba, I'm telling you want to attack this Tennessee defense. Yes. If you don't go to Metcalf, you drop down in Najigba. If you want to play the guy that nobody's playing, you go to Tyler Lockett right in the middle. Outside of that, we're getting back to these top-end guys. I'll mention Josh Downs as well. He's obviously a play. No Michael Pittman at 5,500. And the top half guys we talked about, they start creeping up as well because not only are they the top, projected players in CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown, but they're also showing some value because they're going to have big days today. So, make sure you use the tools. We also have an optimizer at windailysports.com, so lock in with that. Tight end, it's great to see a guy, if you sort by value, he's the top guy. And then if you sort by projection, he's also the top guy. So it's basically telling you, play that guy. Trey McBride is that guy. 5,700. Stix has him ranked ahead of Hockenson and Laporta. Why? Because Hockenson is fighting for targets. Same thing with Laporta. And McBride is not fighting anybody for targets. He's getting all of them. So cash game, I go McBride. I like Ingram as well at 5,400 with no Zay Jones against the Tampa Bay defense in play. I don't see too many people playing Jake Ferguson. He's in play because low ownership in a high-paced game. Njoku, we mentioned. Dave, talk about some of these tight ends.
Yeah, real quick, though, I would like to get a word on receivers. Just looking, I'm really big on Amari Cooper today. 22 targets since Flacco's been in 2 games. I think Cooper could be in line for a really nice game. He's played 85% of his snaps outside the hashes. He's going long. He's doing a lot. And I also think, you got to keep an eye on Curtis Samuel. He's averaged 18 points the past 3 weeks, fantasy-wise. Under 5K. Brandon Cooks is also a play I think could pop today a little bit. But as far as tight ends go, Jay, obviously the top 3 are undeniable. Even top 4 or 5 with Njoku, Ingram getting in the mix. But McBride's my favorite of all of them. And then as we drop down there, you mentioned it earlier, and I do think he'll somewhat be in play today. But Tucker Kraft is some guy. I think we're seeing just a little bit of an evolution there. Past 2 weeks, averaging 13 points. He's under 4K. I think Tucker could be a good play as well.
Great call there because everybody's gonna be playing, Wicks, and you want salary relief. So that's what everybody's thinking. But with Tucker Kraft right here, you're actually getting a cheaper price. And dude's done it like the last 5 weeks. Wicks has done it 1 week. He's looked great. There's a reason why everybody's playing because he's looked good. So I'm not saying don't play him. But, if you want to come off and some of your lineups off a very chalky guy, just pivot in the same game to one of the other receivers, either Keith, Dobbs, or Tucker Kraft. And you need salary savings. I like Kraft down here. So glad you mentioned him, man. That's why you're on this show, dude.
Thanks.
I forgot about this, dude. At 3,700.
Yeah.
He's the guy if I go down there. If it's not him, I know I talked about this guy a couple of times, but 3,200, Tyler Conklin. Let's call his first touchdown of the year, David. It's going to happen. As soon as I slide him out of my lineup. So, go in expert chat and just ask me if I slid him out of my season-long league. If so, he's scoring a touchdown. If I keep him in, don't play him. He's going to go 3 for 22 yards.
I'm betting the touchdown prop. There you go. All right.
Okay. All right. We got to go shop and make sure we get it. Jimmy I know you're a big fan of Jimmy. Jimmy's like, I'm feeling Trent Irwin's going to score 2 touchdowns last night. So I'm like, all right, I'll bet it at plus 10,000. And as soon as I bet it at plus 10,000, 5 other people bet it at plus 10,000. So Jimmy, got to return some gifts because we all lost money on Trent Irwin. But if you caught my props, so it made up for, I went out there even on Twitter. I said
4-0 yesterday in college bowl games, 4-0 so far. So it's in there.
All right.
Yeah. So you don't have to return gifts if you're in our Discord.
There you go. Yeah, I was on Tyler Boyd. I was on Irwin, regular receiving props. I also posted on Twitter, I think all 3 wide receivers for Cincinnati go over, and they all smashed the over as well. So, Zay Jones, last time I checked, he's pretty much doubtful.
Yeah, doubtful.
Yeah, he's questionable, dodgeball, Let's I'll go check that in a second. But, Dave, talk about your bets just one last time before we get out of here. Your favorite bets of the weekend. Even if it's college football, throw those out there as well. You've been crushing those, so why not miss out on that? Also,
I'm going to sit on college because, we got 2 NFL days. College is taking a break, but it will be heavy come Tuesday. So we'll be in Discord nailing that. Still roughly 30 bowl games left. I'm in a pool that starts on Tuesday for the last 25 bowl games. So we'll get them in. But NFL-wise, there's a lot to like out there today. As I mentioned in my article, that every game up until the 8 o'clock game tonight is a spread of 4 or less. So we got some really close games out of the 9 that are on this DFS slate. Some of the ones I do like, and it pains me to say, but I like Minnesota. We talked about it earlier. I think that line's a little sneaky, and they're playing all in football right now. And then I do like the Eagles tomorrow. I got to say, they dominated the Giants 108-45 last season, averaging 220 rushing yards per game. Someone mentioned Swift earlier. I think he could be a savior in season-long leagues this weekend. I think he's going to get a big dose. So those are 2 I lean towards, but we got a few other in there. And Jay, we talked about cash and GPPs. We talked a lot about GPPs, but quarterback-wise, I think you're safe either way, but Fields is my favorite on both sides of GPP and cash, but I'll probably play him more heavily in cash and look at some of those cheaper, as we mentioned, quarterbacks in the 5 and 6K range in my GPPs. Like we said, Mullins in play, Flacco in play, Geno, Baker. I think those could really pop off in GPPs.
Yeah, the only thing I gotta, check. I'm gonna build some lines when we get out of here. With the Roshan news, what does that do to Justin Fields in cash? Because you might not want that same correlation between, your running back and your quarterback. So, that's a way to kind of get not different, but get off of Justin Fields in cash games. I know Stix wrote up, Justin Fields as his cash quarterback. I'll check out with him in Discord to see if he's staying there, or if he does slide in Roshan, does he, kind of come off of Justin Fields there? And also, I just saw it, so I don't know what it means, but I saw somebody post live look in Chicago, and it's just a gray screen. You can't see anything. So it's 12 o'clock, but it's complete fog, and you can't see a goddamn thing. So
I remember that.
I gotta do further research on that. But if it's super foggy, you might want to take Justin Fields out of your cash game lineup as well. So check the weather there. We'll be checking in.
Don't you think the run game becomes a premium then? And he's their run game.
No, I think Roshan's actually good. I think he'll pop the upside here. I think that's what I'm saying. I think if it's if you get no passing game out of Justin Fields,
true,
probably lean to slide Roshan in the running back and then go to a safe quarterback. Maybe like a Dak Prescott or even punting quarterback. With what you mentioned with Mullins or whatever at 5,300. Let him get you 14, 15, and now pay up for a CeeDee Lamb or, whoever that you really love at the wide receiver position, or, find a way to get Trey McBride now by paying down at quarterback. So we don't have news on Zay Jones yet. We do have news. Reed is out.
Yep. Thanks, Brian.
Levis is out, and Tannehill is playing, and obviously Pittman is out. So we're still waiting on Madison's going to be playing, but it's going to be Ty Chandler's, backfield. Cole Kmet's playing. Deontay Foreman's out. That's why we're focusing on Roshan. A.J. Dillon's going to be playing. Nico Collins will play. So Christian Watson is inactive. We're waiting on some extra news here, but Chig and Tannehill both in for Tennessee. So as the news rolls out, we'll definitely, hop into Discord, from now until lock and go over the rest of the plays. Some props I'm on, if you're not on the Discord, you can follow along. I am going Brandon Cooks. I got it earlier this week at 36.5. I believe you can still get it at 37.5. Ferguson as well. I got it at 41. And I doubled down at 42 as well. So, that can, be a play. I went heavy, woke up this morning. C and I were talking about it last night a little bit. And then again this morning, I'm running a Breece Hall train. So I got Breece Hall over his rush totals. I got Breece Hall over his rushing and receiving totals. So, make sure you get some of that. I'm not sure if I'm there yet, but, just for the fun of it, a little stocking stuffing, Stein, Conklin TD. Who knows? Maybe Breece Hall runs the ball all the way to the 3, and then Conklin gets that touchdown. So
I'm doing it.
It'll be fun to call first Conklin. I want to see if I get better odds than plus 550. I'm going to do some shopping. And Stix was on Michael Wilson at 31.5. So I sprinkled a couple of dollars on that as well. Early
Watch
this
out for
week.
the fog though now, right? Keep an eye on that fog.
Yeah, keep an eye on the fog. Roshan in play. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve, and let's start the petition, Dave. Christmas is always on Mondays. Moving forward. So I like the feel of the Sunday, Monday type of feel. And one last question I got for you, man.
Yeah.
San Fran Ravens. Who wins that game? And any thoughts on the spread there? Because we're not going to be doing a Christmas Day show. I got little kids. I'll be focusing on them tomorrow. What's your thoughts on that game and how it plays out? You think San Fran rolls, covers the spread here? Or you think Baltimore can pull the upset in? And I'll ask the last part of that question. If Lamar has a monster game and Purdy struggles, does Lamar get a little chirping on the MVP talk? Does it get closer, or is it Purdy's from here on out?
No, I still think there's room to move. And I still think there's some value in Christian McCaffrey too. Like, listen, 3 weeks ago, Hurts was the favorite. Now 3 losses in a row, and he's not even close and won't get it. It can change that quick. It's just the story I'm saying. So, yes, with a win tomorrow, I think actually Lamar overtakes Purdy. But Purdy has a really good shot based upon his metrics. He really have to flatten out these last couple of weeks, and he's got some soft ones coming up. So, I think after this, I think Purdy will still get it, but there is some room. Now, this game I'm actually leaning Baltimore in. I think with the points.
They win or with the points?
I do think San Fran ends up winning. I do. But I still have visions of what Cincinnati did to San Fran when they went in there a few weeks back. Well, about a month or two back. But better teams that can pass the ball can expose San Fran. They're a little softer in the middle of the field. So I think Baltimore has a chance to keep this game close, and I would take them with the points.
Dave, did we answer this question yet?
Not
this
one.
Half-point PPR. Half-point PPR. I probably go.
I like Hawk, Breece.
I probably go Breece, Hubbard, and Ridley myself. I don't know if that's going to help because we're on different guys here.
Yeah, I like Hawkinson for this reason. He's playing his former team. He had a monster game. I just think there's some motivation. So I lean Hawk, but I hear you. I think Ridley's your type of it's a complete home run or he's striking out 4 times, right?
He won't strike out, though. Like, how can you strike out?
True.
How can you strike out when you get 12 targets versus, that defense?
True.
And Lawrence is playing. Like, how do you really strike out? But, like, in a half-point PPR, I lean typically more, for these runners. So I don't mind just going, Bijan, Breece, and Hubbard and just get those floors at everybody. But if you're looking for some upside, I think you go Ridley over Bijan, or you can go Ridley over Breece if you're feeling good about Bijan. Bijan's the wild card here. where you're playing with fire, but that fire can ignite, and you can have a monster Bijan week, and he can win you the week. So super tough question, man. I'm sorry.
Zeke is the wild card. I think Zeke is one versus bad.
No. Why? Zeke, really?
Ramondre's already out.
I think Broncos D is pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, Ramondre's out. I think already they announced. I think Zeke is one. I think he's safer than Breece, but we'll see. Breece is a home run again, so it depends what you're playing for. If you think you're the favorite, I would play a little bit safer. But if you think you need to, hit a few in the gap, I think Ridley and Breece are your plays.
All right, everybody, Merry Christmas. We'll probably talk before the New Year's. Everybody, let's make some money tonight. Hop over to WinDailySports.com if you don't have a membership, WinDailySports.com/radio. Take advantage of the tools, a free membership, a lineup optimizer. We'll be playing all the slates Sunday. We got props posted, bets posted, articles posted, cheat sheets posted. So get in on that. We'll be back next week, man. Enjoy your holidays with the fam, and watch some football, eat some good food, and spend time with the family. So we're out of here. See you, on the flip side of things.